There, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Hawk and I. In a previous video, I shared a little bit with you about people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and cognitive impairments, how they're able to connect to the spirit dimensions in such a very profound way. Quite often, they will see or hear from loved ones who have passed or deceased pets. They will often share that an angel or guide has come to visit. They may even give you a description of what the spirit dimensions look like. Their ability to connect to the spirit dimensions is very similar on how I connect. They're also able to connect with me this way. I'm quite often able to have conversations with them, even if they're nonverbal. And it's just such a profound part of what I do. I'm going to take you on a little adventure, a little story here with me, if you will. And it gives you a little bit more detail on how this works and how profound it can be. Now, I hike almost every day, weather permitting, pretty much the same route, little magical forest, not too far from my home. And on this day that I headed out, I'm walking through the forest and I come up to a little footbridge that crosses a little creek. And standing at the other end of the bridge is this elderly man. And he's leaned on the bridge, kind of looking off into the forest, deep in his own thoughts. And as I approached him, I started feeling a very heavy heart. I started feeling a lot of sadness. So as I got to the bridge, I took a similar stance on it, looking over into the forest, just kind of drifting off and feeling. And I started to hear this elderly lady in my mind. She started to talk to me. And she said to me, "Tell him thank you for lunch today. Thank you for bringing my favorite soup and sandwich." Big breath in, and I said to him, "You went to visit your wife today." And he looked at me, and he had a tear-stained face. And he said, "I go every day." And I said to him, "She's thanking you for bringing the soup and sandwich today." And he looked at me very confused and kind of taken back. And he said, "How did you know that?" So I briefly explained to him what I do, and that people with Alzheimer's or dementia or cognitive impairment, I'm able to hear them. And he kind of looked at me a little unsure, and he just kind of went back to staring off into the forest. But his wife kept talking, and she began to share with me their life journey. I told him the year they were married, the country they were married in, the year they immigrated to Canada, how many children they had, how many grandchildren they had. She talked about the great grandchild that was born after her cognitive impairment had progressed. She shared with him all of the magical moments that were so significant in their life. And he stood there, just tears strolling down his face, and he didn't question me much anymore on how or why this was occurring. And then she shifted the conversation and she said to him, "It's okay not to come every day. It's okay to sell the house." And she talked about the promises that he had made her when she went into the nursing home. And she needed to let him know that it was okay to let go of some of those promises, that he needed to look after himself as well. She also needed a favor. She needed him to be ready for her transition. She was preparing to transition to the spirit dimensions, but she was waiting here. She was waiting for him to be ready, and she was waiting for permission to go. And this was a huge moment for this man. Just huge moment. Because he thought that she was staying here for different reasons. Our conversation ended on a beautiful note. As shell shocked as he was, he thanked me and we parted ways. And I thought about that moment on the bridge with him, and I thought about that elderly man for a good couple days. And about a week and a half later, ventured back out for my daily hike. And as I approached that footbridge, standing at the other end of it, waving at me, was that same elderly man. And he had a smile on his face, and his energy felt a bit different, a bit lighter, yet still some heaviness. And as I approached him, he was just so happy to see me. I've been waiting to see you again, and I've come out the last couple of days, right around the same time, but I didn't see you. And he shared with me that his wife had passed about a week ago. And before she passed, he had an amazing conversation with her. And he let her know that he was ready to sell the house. And he reviewed with her that he was going to make his life a little bit simpler. And he understood that it was okay to break some of those promises. And he gave her permission to go. And she transitioned peacefully with him by her side. It was a beautiful moment, that brought on a lot of emotions. And as I stood there listening to him tell me what has been happening, I started to see hundreds and hundreds of butterflies in my mind, fluttering around, every brilliant colors and different types of butterflies. And I said to him, I said, once the warmer weather comes, I think your wife's going to send you butterflies. Keep an eye open for the butterflies. And his eyes filled up with tears. And he started going through his pockets, like rummaging through his pockets. And he said, my dear, you're not going to believe this. And he took out his hand and he opened it up. And in his hand was this butterfly hair clip. And he said to me, my wife always, since the time she was in her teens, had a butterfly hair clip or a butterfly headband. There was always a butterfly in her hair. So I said to him, I said, well, there you go. If that's not validation that she's going to visit you often, I don't know what is. It's so profound to be able to communicate with people who have cognitive impairment. And she made this very clear that the heart and the soul never forgets, even though the mind may. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about how people with cognitive impairment are able to communicate. There's just such a magic about it. I am wishing you love, light, and blessings, and I hope you have a magical day.